Nedic's Serbian police force appeased the Germans by tracking down and capturing those Jews attempting to escape and hide. Thus, on January 31st, 1942, the newspaper Obnova praises a detachment of 12 volunteers that captures 7 Belgrade Jews in Niš who had been living under Serbian names. For each captured Jew, the Serbian police received a cash bounty. The Belgrade firm Obnova had a contract with the Belgrade Gestapo administration for cheaply buying the clothing of the Jews gassed to death in hermetically closed trucks. As reported in Politika on November 1st, 1944, this clothing sometimes had gold or jewelry sewn into the linings. In August 1942, Nedic's Council of Ministers passed a regulation declaring that all Jewish property within Serbian territory was the property of Serbia, for which the Jews were not to receive any compensation whatsoever. Among thousands of tragical fortunes, one draws the special attention, the one of Erich Shlomovich, the famous art collector, a Jew of Croatian origin. Beginning in World War II, he found himself in Belgrade. As is known during his several years' residence in Paris, he had the friendly relations with Matisse, Vollard, Le Corbusier, Mayol. He was the welcome guest in Parisian art society. He was in possession of an outstanding art collection: Picasso, Degas, Bonnard, Cézanne, Pissarro, Gauguin, Renoir, Utrillo. The exhibition of his collection in 1940 in Zagreb was the great event and success. Unfortunately, this man of outstanding sense of art was killed in a famous concentration camp in Belgrade, as testified by one woman together with thousands of Jews. During the war, his collection was moved to different places. After the war, it was taken over by Serbian communists. According to the latest evidence, there are missing 56 pieces of art of inestimable value. In 1941, editions of Obnova and Naša Borba, newspapers published by the political parties collaborating with the Nazi occupiers in Serbia, we encounter the historical and theoretical rationale of anti-Semitism. The Jews were purported to be ancient enemies of the Serbian people, whom the Serbs themselves had to exterminate, without waiting for the Germans. We thus learned that Karađorđe, the leader of the first Serbian uprising, after taking Belgrade in 1806, drove out all the Jews found imprisoned in the Belgrade fortress or countryside. Then, under Alexander Karađorđević in 1846, Jews were ordered to leave the hinterland of Serbia, and in 1861 there followed another expulsion of Jews from Serbia. Dr. Lazar Prokic states in a book on Jews that they provoked the famous March 27 coup in Belgrade and were guilty at fault for the breakdown of an alliance with Germany, as well as the fall of the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. It is known that many Jews in occupied Europe, as well as some Serbs in the independent state of Croatia, speciously converted to Catholicism or Protestantism to avoid persecution. In Nedic's Serbia, where the Orthodox Church stressed its loyalty to the occupying German forces, some Jews hoped that pro forma baptism would provide them with documents identifying them as Serbian Orthodox, so that the official church could protect them for persecution. However, the highest administrative body of the Serbian Orthodox Church, Holy Synod, on January 30th, 1942, proclaimed that according to a regulation by the Serbian Ministry of Internal Affairs, in agreement with the German military authority in Serbia, the conversion of Jews to another faith is forbidden. Metropolitan Josip, the president of the Holy Synod, by issuing this regulation under his signature, indicated that Serbian Orthodox priests were not even allowed to ostensibly accept Jews into the Serbian Orthodox Church to save their lives. Thus, the Germans and their collaborators among the Serbian police could lead Jews to their deaths without fear that some would criticize them for persecuting Christians. The Serbian Orthodox Church thereby also skillfully freed itself of the eventual accusation that it had forcefully converted Jews. Whoever is well acquainted with the Orthodox heritage and the spirit that permeates the liturgy of Eastern Christianity knows that emphasis is placed upon condemnation of Jews for Jesus' death. In connection with this, there is a general antipathy toward Jews, far greater than in the corresponding text in Western Christianity. In the liturgy during Holy Week, a disproportionate number of texts are devoted to Judas's betrayal, with obvious extension of guilt to all Jews. While Western Christianity has, at least in recent years, consciously repudiated and officially distanced itself from all anti-Semitism, such changes have yet to be undertaken in the Orthodox Church. Moreover, during the Second World War, while these events were occurring in Serbia, a large number of Orthodox priests publicly defended the persecution of Jews. Such public statements by Orthodox priests, as well as distinguished members of the Church, were never denounced in any way by the highest Church authority, which made no attempt to distance itself. In late November of 1941, Dusan Popovic, a chief priest in the Orthodox Church, exclaimed publicly in the Church of St. Mark in Belgrade, "We have been betrayed and sold out. The worm of betrayal and corruption, as embodied by Judaism, has penetrated the core of Yugoslavia." The Church of St. Mark is in the center of town at Tashmaidan, where Nazis and Serbian police had collected the Belgrade Jews and led them away to the concentration camps. In Kruševac in late 1943, the chief priest, Branislav Popovic, called Jews the Antichrist, the ruin of your Serbian nation from your sons associated with the Antichrist, the Jews. A little later, in the same place, this same church official blessed a gathering at which the quisling minister, Olken, thanked God that the enormously powerful fist of Germany had not come down upon the head of the Serbian nation, but instead upon the heads of the Jews in our midst. In September 1941, at a similar meeting in Kragujevac, the Orthodox priest Dragoslav Velichkovic warned the people that it was necessary to fight against the Jews, because the Jews had staged a bloody world drama and wanted to exterminate the Serbian people. During the war years, Belgrade newspapers frequently reported similar appearances and speeches by Orthodox priests. The occupier consciously used such statements by these Christian priests to diminish potential resistance by the Serbs serving in the police as well as the general population to crimes against the Jews. The impression was created that the extermination of Jews satisfied divine justice, so that true Christians should not only be grateful to the Nazis, but even collaborate with them. Although incomplete, information published in Belgrade newspapers during the war concerning the Jews who perished in Serbian territory at the hands of Nazis and their Serbian collaborators was intentionally suppressed after the war. At the same time, at the behest of the post-war communist regime, data was painstakingly collected and published concerning the crime of the Nazis and their collaborators in the neighboring Croatian territory. The reason for this was that the pro-Nazi wartime government in Croatia fell together with its German allies, while many members of the Serbian Quisling regime were able to join the ranks of the communist victor and exchange their Chetnik emblem for the communist star in the new state, even rising to high positions. Only since the recent fall of the communist governments throughout Europe has it been possible to research and publish information on this concealed part of the Holocaust.